Oh my god. You won't believe what just happened. It's been a crazy night, and it just got even crazier. You know how the stepson of mine is. Now, this will shock you. He's 19, and I've known him since he was a kid. His dad, my husband, married me when his son was just 10 years old. I've always tried to be a good stepmom to him, but things have been complicated lately. Tonight was supposed to be a romantic night with my husband. We'd been planning it for weeks, and I was really looking forward to it. We had dinner, watched a movie, and then, well, you know how it is when you're trying to reconnect with your partner. Let's just say we were intimate. But here's the thing, I wasn't satisfied at all. It was like my body was responding physically, but mentally, I don't know, something just felt off. I got out of bed and told my husband I needed some water from the kitchen. But that wasn't true. What I really needed was some alone time to figure out what was going on with me. Why wasn't I feeling fulfilled? Was it something with our relationship? Was it me? Ugh, so many questions were swirling in my head. I walked into the guest room we have downstairs and locked the door behind me. It's like my own little sanctuary when I need some space from everyone else in the house. And that's when things took a turn for the worse, or better, depending on how you look at it. As soon as I sat down on the bed and started touching myself, oh boy, the sensations were intense. Like nothing else mattered except for that moment right there. My mind started racing with thoughts of pleasure and release. Little did I know someone else had other plans. That someone else being none other than my stepson. Now, here's where things start getting really crazy. He must have seen me sneak downstairs because suddenly he appeared outside the window of our guest room, staring right at me through a gap in the curtains. Talk about an adrenaline rush. Our eyes met for what felt like an eternity, neither one of us moving or speaking. Just pure silence. What happens next will leave you speechless. I couldn't believe my eyes. My stepson, the same kid I'd known since he was 10 years old, was standing outside the window, staring at me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. I felt like I'd been caught red-handed, like I'd been doing something wrong, but at the same time, there was a part of me that didn't want to look away. Our eyes were locked in a silent standoff, and for a moment, it was like time had stopped. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, and my mind was racing with thoughts of what to do next. Should I scream? Should I call for help? Or should I just ignore him? But then, something unexpected happened. My stepson didn't look away. He didn't seem embarrassed or ashamed. Instead, he just kept staring at me with this hunger in his eyes. It was like he was seeing me for the first time, like he was really looking at me as a woman. I felt a shiver run down my spine as our eyes remained locked. It was like we were communicating without words, like we were having a conversation that only we could understand. And then, without thinking, I did something that would change everything. I took a step closer to the window. My stepson's eyes never left mine as I moved closer, his gaze burning with an intensity that made my skin feel hot. I could feel his eyes on me like a touch, and it sent shivers down my spine. For a moment, we just stood there, frozen in time. The only sound was the beating of our hearts and the rustling of leaves outside. And then, my husband called out from upstairs. "Honey, where are you?" My heart skipped a beat as reality came crashing back down around me. What was I doing? What had I almost done? My stepson quickly hid behind the curtains as if he'd never been there at all. I took a deep breath and tried to compose myself before calling out to my husband. "I'm just getting some water from the kitchen. Be right up." But as I turned to leave the room, our eyes met again through the gap in the curtains. This time, it felt different. It felt like we shared a secret now, one that no one else knew about. One that could change everything. As I walked back upstairs to join my husband, all sorts of questions swirled through my head. Was this really happening? Was it possible for us to keep this secret hidden forever? Or would everything come crashing down around us soon enough? Only one thing is certain: nothing will ever be the same again. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something had shifted between my stepson and me. As I walked back upstairs to join my husband, I felt like I was walking on autopilot. My mind was still downstairs, locked in that intense stare with my stepson. As I entered our bedroom, my husband looked up at me with a concerned expression. "Hey, is everything okay? You were gone for a while?" I forced a smile and tried to brush it off. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just got caught up in thought, that's all." But my husband didn't seem convinced. He looked at me like he knew something was wrong, like he could sense the tension in the air. I tried to push the thoughts of my stepson out of my mind and focus on my husband. We talked for a bit, and then he fell asleep, exhausted from the day's events. But I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing with thoughts of what had happened downstairs. I kept replaying the scene in my head, wondering what would have happened if my husband hadn't called out. As the night wore on, I found myself getting more and more agitated. I felt like I was torn between two worlds, one where I was a loyal wife and stepmom, and another where I was a woman with desires and needs that weren't being met. And then, just as I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, I heard a creak outside our bedroom door. It was soft at first, but then it got louder. It sounded like someone was trying to sneak into our room without being seen. My heart skipped a beat as I realized who it might be. "My stepson?" I felt a rush of adrenaline as I wondered what he wanted. Was he going to try and talk to me? Was he going to try and... The door creaked open slowly, and my stepson slipped inside. He looked around nervously, making sure we were alone. And then, our eyes met again. This time, there was no mistaking the intention in his gaze. He took a step closer to me, his eyes never leaving mine. And everything else just melted away. The world outside receded, leaving only us two, suspended in this moment of forbidden desire. What happens next will change everything forever. Now the question is, can we survive this forbidden love? Or will it destroy us all? Please subscribe for more.